We have an independent witness video. We're still canvassing for more video. If there's anybody else out there that has video or information, we want to hear from you. We ask that you call the Evansville Police Department at area code 812-436-7979 or the We Tip line, which is 1-800-78-CRIME, C-R-I-M-E. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of unanswered questions. I'll try to entertain a few of them. There's going to be a number of them I cannot provide any more information, but we'll go ahead and start.
How long had the officer in question been on the force?
Approximately 10 years. I don't have the exact time. I can find that, but I would say approximately 10 years.
What's his name?
I'm not going to release that at this time. And the reason for it, there's still a lot of emotions, a lot of inquiries, and we really feel that in the best interest of the officer at this time, we're just going to let him be surrounded by loved ones and friends, and we're just not going to release that name at this time.
Why not release the video right now?
The video is still being analyzed. We've got our crime scene investigators looking at it that's got some expertise on the video. The video provides us a great deal of detail, but there's a great deal of detail that you cannot see. Very dimly lit. That location, the cameras don't have an external light source, so we're trying to do some things that could maybe assist in getting some stills or maybe even slowing the video down to give us a little bit better perspective to put out there.
The video proves that he acted appropriately then, what you saw in the video?
A number of things actually led to that. We had 3 witnesses that were media eyewitnesses that gave very good statements. We had video evidence. We had the officer involved, his initial statement, plus we had physical evidence of the scene. All those things taken together as a whole led us to conclude that our officer acted appropriately and legally and justifiably.
Who's investigating this case?
I'm sorry, what?
Who's investigating this case?
The lead detective is Detective Aaron McCormick.
Have you guys thought about getting an outside investigative agency to look into this?
No. We do a very good job, and we have for the 32 years I've been on. We've always had very high-quality investigators. We see no reason why we would need to do anything different. There's nothing that would be causing us concern. There's nothing that would cause us to question what occurred out there. Our officers are professional individuals, and they allow the facts to lead them to a conclusion. They don't let opinions, emotions, or connections interfere with that. It's strictly fact-based, and that's how every investigation should be. The facts always lead you to the conclusion.
The video will be released in time?
That I would have to say ultimately it probably will. I'm going to defer that call to a number of people. We want to consult with the chief. He's out of town, the prosecutor, some others. I think in these type of situations, some of the video will. I cannot say for sure, but I can say that the video did conclude. So with me being on record saying that, I can't help but believe some of it's got to be released at some time, yes.
One of the witnesses who called 911 said that Mr. Cheney was standing with his hands on his head when he was shot.
Absolutely false. And I could tell you, though, there's probably a good explanation for that. Many witnesses come from different angles, different perceptions. They don't always see. In fact, a good example is many witnesses that claim to see something really didn't see it. They hear it, and then they turn, and then they see the aftermath. What we discovered out there from witness statements as well as video evidence, there were 3 Good Samaritan bystanders that stopped to render aid to this individual. At the time, they were still right up by the car, by the officer, when our officer engaged them. So they were right there. I'm suspecting, I don't know, this is speculation, but I think maybe what happened when the subject got out of his vehicle, started approaching the officers with a weapon, the witnesses started to turn and run from the scene for their safety. One of them had started to put his hands up as he turned. Speculation is possibly this witness that made that claim actually saw one of the witnesses and not the suspect. Don't know that. This is new to me, but no, we don't have any evidence at all from the witnesses that we spoke to that made that claim.
Well, you said that was false, so you have evidence to the contrary.
Yes.
That witness told me that police hadn't contacted him yet. He had left his name and number with dispatchers, but they hadn't reached out to him. Is that something that you think you will be doing in the coming days?
We would love to have his name and number. We gathered everything we could. We were out there for many hours yesterday. If there's a name and number that someone's seeing something, we want to hear from them. This is new to me.
And yesterday, I think it was unclear whether or not the body camera was turned on. So today you're saying definitively that the body camera was turned on. There is body camera.
I don't know where you're getting it was unclear. We never ever said that the body cam was not turned on, so I don't know where that information is coming from. I will tell you this, the officer did indeed have his body cam activated. So I don't know where that information came from, but that's false.
3 shots fired and they all hit Mr. Cheney?
We believe that there was 4 shots. I'm not going to go into the number of strikes at this point. I want to wait and hear from what the coroner's office has to say after the postmortem.
Was Mr. Cheney injured in the car accident?
We do not believe so. From what the witnesses observed, what our officer observed, and what video evidence shows, it did not appear that he was injured at all.
When will the officer be returning to the force? Do you know yet?
What's that?
Do you know when the officer will be returning to the force? He's on administrative leave right now, correct?
Yeah, we have a standard practice whenever someone's in a high-stress incident. We give them 3 days of debrief time in order to collect their thoughts, regroup. If an officer feels that they need more time than that, we certainly grant that, but we do a minimum of 3 days. We put them on administrative leave. It's an automatic thing we do. We require officers to take that time. That reduces any of the stigma that may fall on where someone may assume that being put on administrative leave is a negative connotation. Is not that at all.
How's he doing?
As anybody could imagine, he was emotional at the time, but he is a professional and he's handling it well. We've got friends looking out for him. He's got loved ones that are with him, and I think that's a big part of the healing process.
Do you know what caused the crash?
No, we don't. In fact, the witness even stated he thought it was odd. That's what first brought him to it. The vehicle was eastbound on Morgan. Our first initial witness was westbound on Morgan. The witness sees this vehicle lock up its brakes, start skidding, exit the roadway, and hits this pole head on, and there was no apparent reason for it. There was nothing in the roadway, no other traffic, no animal ran out in front of him. So to answer your question, no, we don't know.
He wasn't, you said he was under the influence probably, but could he have been dazed by the accident?
You know what, there's always possibilities. That's not what our evidence appears to be. This was not the actions and the demeanor and the appearance of someone that was dazed.
Mm-hmm. Some people will wonder whether less lethal measures could have been used.
From the time that the officer first started engaging him to the time that this individual started reaching for a weapon, to the point where he started advancing on the officer. Now, this wasn't someone that was retreating. He was advancing on the officer with a hammer. I'm here to tell you, a hammer is a deadly weapon. A club, a hammer, any type of a blunt object in the hand of a able-bodied individual can cause a great deal of harm, can cause death. It absolutely is a deadly weapon. There would be no reason to even try to use a less lethal. And the simple fact is, less lethal is a great tool, but it's not a foolproof tool. It does not always work. We've already had evidence of that in some other Austinville shootings in the past. So, no, he was legally justified in what he was doing, and I think he handled it very appropriately.
The officer didn't know it wasn't a gun at the time, is that right?
The officer actually thought it was a gun at the time, and one of our witnesses did not know what it was, but made an assumption it was a gun, and that's what we were going on at that time. So you have to always look at these cases from the perspective of the officer on scene, what he perceives and what he believes is happening then and there at that moment.
Was the officer who did the shooting the only officer on the scene at the time of the shooting?
Yes.
You said he's been on the force for about 10 years. Has there been any other similar incidents to this in his history?
No.
Captain, last night his vehicle, the Jeep, was on scene for several hours. Was there a reason for that? I noticed they were still going through his vehicle even, 4 hours after the incident occurred.
Well, we wanted to be slow, we wanted to be methodical. I really didn't know exactly how long it would take. I gave an estimate, I was way off on how long it would take. But they wanted to make sure that they were slow, methodical, gathered every bit of evidence that would help them. There were some things that they were going through in the Jeep. They wanted to make sure that they took their time to photograph, measure, document. Also, too, before we started to move it and get inside, we had to wait for a search warrant. So we had to come down, write up the probable cause affidavit to get the search warrant. Then we had to have it reviewed by a judge. The judge had to then ensure that, yes, we do have probable cause, sign off. So there was that time frame there that led to the delay.
Can you say, if anything, what else was found in the vehicle?
No, not at this time.
So you said the officer acted in a quote legal, justified, and a reasonable manner. So I guess my question is, what is the police department investigating now to determine that the officer acted in that manner?
Well, we have been led to conclude that based on what we have right now, but there's still some unanswered questions. There's still more we want to know, and we want to make sure we cover all the bases, so to speak.
A lot of times your guys in the field will encounter people that they encountered before. Have they encountered Mr. Cheney before?
As far as I know, he has not had any recent history with the EPD that I'm aware of. There was nothing on our computer that had recent history. There was some from a few years ago. He does not reside in Evansville, so maybe in his own jurisdiction, possibly, but that I don't know.
Has the officer made a statement yet?
No, not as of yet. Well, let me rephrase. He has made a preliminary statement to let us know what he encountered and what his response was. But as far as the official statement that we take in the course of any investigation, no, he has not done that yet. He will do that after his administrative leave.
When will you be releasing the incident report from the shooting?
That is still under review, and I cannot give you a time on that as of yet.
Captain, would you confirm his name again?
It is Terry Wayne Chanley. That is spelled C-H-A-N-L-E-Y. He's a 45-year-old white male.
And you said he doesn't live in Evansville. Can you say where he's from?
He is from Posey County, but I don't want to release the address. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Thank you.